You're listening to the SBA Loan Experts Podcast, your source for information, tips, and education on the SBA loan program from SBA expert Chris Hearn, founder and CEO of Fountainhead, the nation's leading non-bank SBA lender. Here's your host, Chris Hearn.
So maybe you could just, in a few sentences, tell us what you do, who you are, and what your company does.
Sure. So I'm the founder and CEO of Fountainhead. We're a nationwide non-bank small business lender. We were the sixth most active, I should say, PPP lender this year. And we've been very experienced doing SBA lending for many, many years.
Good time to be in that business, I think, huh?
I think so, yes.
So what, there are other people that do this. I mean, I've run into them, particularly with PPP and whatnot.
Sure.
What is your competitive advantage? Why should people come to Fountainhead, or why do people come to Fountainhead?
Yeah, I think the competitive advantage we have, I'd summarize it in what I like to call the 3 S's, which is speed, service, and specialization. Most of our competitors are not exactly known for those 3 S's. Usually we compete against banks and they're not speedy. We also often have very high touch service for our borrowers. Again, not something you see a lot in the financial services industry. And then our specialization, we're not trying to be all things to all people. Without PPP, our regular lines of business, we only have 3 product lines, and we think we're the best at those 3. We're not trying to do everything.
Got it. Yeah, my bank wouldn't even do SBA loans. As it turns out.
Just half of them out there don't. Yeah.
So what percentage of the revenue recurs every year? It feels like get a client, loan them money, and then adios, or is there a recurring revenue stream in the business?
There is a slight recurring revenue stream in the business relating to servicing our loans. Okay. But if I had to look at the total gross revenue, it's probably just under 10% annually. So it is a bit of a transactional business to some extent.
Yep, got it. So where is the point of constraint in the business? If there was one thing, have a magic wand, I could tap it, and this makes it what is already a good business, like even a better business in terms of revenue, profitability, what would be the sort of one thing?
I'd say we're unique in that we are licensed by the federal government to make SBA loans, which as a non-bank makes us very interesting. There's only 14 of us, 8 of which are actually for profit. So for us, it's always about, accessing lower cost capital because we don't have deposits like a credit union or a bank do to go ahead and lend out. So, there is sort of this love-hate relationship between us and some of the folks that we compete against. And so lower access to capital is a big deal for us. So,
SBA loans are fairly cheap. How do you find capital, underneath that? So you got a spread to work with.
I'm one of the investors in the company. I'm the largest individual shareholder. I've got an asset manager who's a partner and a hedge fund who's a partner. So we're just always on the lookout for trying to reduce our cost of capital so we can pass the loan to our borrowers.
Okay, that makes sense. So how many hours a week are you working nowadays?
Well, I'm radically down from the PPP peak. I think I was close to 100 hours a week for the last 18 months. I think I'm down to more like, a manageable 65, 70 hours a week, which is nice.
Okay. Still a little bit high for CEOs, by the way. It's sort of in that 50, 60 range. So
we're still scaling quite a bit, Jim. So.
I don't count, thinking time, right? Because that is like, well, when I'm awake, I'm thinking, right?
Pretty much. Or even when I'm sleeping, it's, I wake up thinking. Yeah.
Exactly. So is there one responsibility that you've delegated off your plate? Just because as you grow, you've got to move up what you're working on. You've got to lose some things here.
That's right.
Give me one thing that you've sort of delegated or moved off your plate in the last 6 months.
I would probably say, credit approvals, underwriting up to a certain dollar amount. I've certainly delegated that to a few different folks, and that's freed up some of my time. But we're a very fast growing business, and so I'm very cognizant of trying to work myself out of some of the org chart boxes.
Good, yeah, as you should, or you'll be the point of constraint, right? You're not careful. So give me maybe 1 or 2 things that sort of characterize your CEO leadership style that you've learned and that you deploy.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm the visionary, and so I try to let my very good team run with these things, and I try to just kind of keep us all focused and on track so we can do the best we can and provide the best experience for our borrowers.
Got it. Okay, and then maybe last question: What do you do for fun?
Other
You're
than
not working 100 hours a week, right?
occasionally I'll watch a soccer game. That's kind of my hobby, I suppose. I used to play, but I gotten too old. I get too many injuries when I play these days.
Today's episode is brought to you by Fountainhead, the nation's leading non-bank SBA lender. Fountainhead's team of SBA experts will guide you through every step of the process and get your loan closed faster and more efficient than any bank. Apply today online at FountainheadCC.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the SBA Loan Experts Podcast.